Breaking news tonight, the Trump administration continuing to root out the deep state. Earlier today, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard stripped 37 security clearances over a Barack Obama-ordered intelligence report of Russian interference in the 2016 election, which launched Russiagate. She announced the move on X, saying in part that the 37 who had their clearances revoked, quote, abused the public trust by politicizing, manipulating intelligence, leaking classified intelligence without authorization, and or committing intentional, egregious violations of tradecraft standards. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard is here with us with more. This kind of fits in with your original declassification, and that was what you discovered was there was an original senior career intelligence assessment about possible Russian interference in 2016, and they said there was no interference. And correct me if I'm wrong, and then Obama himself reordered another assessment with top intel officials rather than listen to rank and file senior analysts that are career analysts?
So there's a slight difference here in what you're saying, Sean. First of all, thank you for having me on. It's great to see you. The intelligence community assessed in the months leading up to that November 2016 election that, yes, Russia was trying to interfere in our election by sowing discord and chaos, but stating over and over again that Russia did not appear to have any preference for one candidate over the other. They viewed both as equally bad for Russia's interest. The big shift that happened around what is now commonly known as Russiagate was after the election. In early December, President Obama called a meeting of his National Security Council leadership. From that meeting, there was directive that was delivered from President Obama to then Obama's DNI, James Clapper, to then CIA Director John Brennan, to come up with a new intelligence community assessment that contradicted the ones that had been produced previously by the intelligence community. This new one said that Russia, Putin, did try to interfere in the election because he wanted Trump to win. They did this using shoddy intelligence, little pieces of intelligence gathered from places that intelligence professionals refused to reference previously because they knew it was substandard and did not meet the quality and the credibility that is expected of them as intelligence professionals. And they used the Steele dossier, knowing John Brennan knew, James Clapper knew, others within the intelligence community knew that the Steele dossier was a political manufactured document intended to be weaponized against then candidate Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump won the election. The American people voted for Donald Trump in 2016. So these intelligence leaders, and John Brennan and James Clapper and James Comey, then director of the FBI, then used this Steele dossier as a source for this Obama-directed new intelligence assessment, again, stating and alleging that Putin, Russia, tried to help Trump win the election. Clearly showing a preference for Donald Trump. Now, if you go to odni.gov, people who say, well, Tulsi, this is just your view or your interpretation, no. It's all in hundreds of pages of documents that I've declassified and released that show point by point exactly what happened through this timeline that showed this very dangerous thing that occurred in the creation of Russiagate, the creation of this manufactured intelligence assessment that essentially had the intent of undermining the voices and votes of the American people who elected Donald Trump. They were not happy with the outcome of that election. And so they created this politicized, weaponized piece of fake intelligence that, as you mentioned, then went on to serve as a foundation for everything that came after, the multiple investigations, the years-long Mueller investigation, 2 congressional impeachments, investigations in the raid at Mar-a-Lago. The list goes on and on. Ultimately, the real crime here was against the American people because this action singularly undermined the integrity of our democratic republic. What to speak of the fact that some of those folks and those 37 individuals that we revoked, directed the revocation of security clearances from today under the direction of President Trump, they aided and abetted in this action, this seditious conspiracy that undermined our democracy, undermined our republic, and broke that sacred trust that every one of these professionals is supposed to have from the American people.
Is it fair to say that it's your assessment, and you've had more time to do a deep dive into this than anybody else, that they first wanted to, the intel community, high-ranking members, wanted to influence the outcome of the 2016 election. They knew that the dirty dossier was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton, and it was from Russia, and it was not true. And then when they were unsuccessful in winning that election, were they then determined to undermine and sabotage the incoming president? Did they also put the cinder blocks on the scale of the 2020 election by pre-bunking a laptop that they authenticated as very real in March of 2020 by pre-bunking it with big tech companies, warning them they may be a victim of disinformation, and then from 2020 to 2024, bloody up Trump? In other words, do we have deep state actors that are trying to influence our presidential elections? Is that what we're concluding here?
Yes, we have people within the intelligence community. Again, when you look at this example of who President Obama charged with this task, John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey at the highest levels, but also those who worked as careerists within the intelligence community who did not object to their manipulation and manufacturing of intelligence and actually helped them get there. All moving towards their partisan interests, that they were not happy with the outcome of this election, and they were willing to do whatever it took in order to try to undermine President Trump's administration during his first term in office. These are bad actors that have to be rooted out. Our national security depends on it. The ability for the American people's trust to be earned back depends on exposing the bad actors and holding them accountable. And that's what President Trump is determined to do.
Tulsi, thank you. You're doing the country a great service. I hope you, I wish you all the best in this investigation. We will keep highlighting it on this show. Thank you for sharing that with us.